I was heading over to the girls' dormitory again that day for my 100th confession to Lin Chiyue. Down below, a big crowd had already gathered. People were standing around talking and looking out, waiting. A freshman asked a senior what was going on. The senior told him they were waiting for me, Xiaoyang. The freshman didn't know who I was, so the senior explained that I'm the guy who keeps confessing to Lin Chiyue no matter what. He said today was the 100th time, which made it a big deal. He told the kid how Lin Chiyue is the school beauty that everyone calls the ice-cold goddess, and how tons of guys had tried and given up. But I never did. Rain or shine, I showed up every day at 6. Up in the girls' dormitory, Lin Chiyue was waiting too. She kept checking the time. At 6:30, her roommate said I still hadn't come, which was weird because I'm always there right at 6. Lin Chiyue started looking worried. Her roommate teased her a bit, and that's when Lin Chiyue admitted she had actually liked me for a while. She said my persistence got to her and that I seemed different from the other guys. She told her roommates she had decided that if I confessed today, the 100th time, she would say yes. She changed clothes a few times, feeling nervous about what to wear. Her friends reassured her and even joked around, offering to help figure out what I'd like. Time kept passing. The crowd downstairs started thinning out. 7 o'clock came, then 7:30. I still wasn't there. Lin Chiyue kept saying I would definitely show up, but she was getting anxious inside. Everyone was surprised because I had never missed a day before. That's what happened that evening. I didn't make it. Actually, here's what really happened on my side an hour earlier. I woke up around 6 o'clock after staying up all night drinking with my roommates. My head was still hurting. I completely forgot about the confession thing. Instead, I checked my phone and opened the banking app. The balance showed 1,001,698 yuan. I felt satisfied. The God of Wealth system had given me the task 3 months ago. Confess to Lin Chiyue 99 times and I'd get 1 million yuan. I did it every day, rain or shine, just to finish the mission. I never expected anything real with her. She was the school beauty and I was just a normal guy. The money was what mattered. I transferred 800,000 yuan straight to my parents' account. My dad was really sick. Diabetes, kidney problems, high blood pressure, all kinds of issues. The family had spent everything on his medicine and now needed money for surgery. I sent my mom a message about the money, then got up to wash my face. My roommates came back with food from the cafeteria. They were excited and brought a 3-tier cake that said the 100th confession on it. They told me to eat quickly so we could all go together. They said this one was special and they wanted to support me. I took the food, thanked them, and started eating. When they kept pushing me to go confess, I shook my head and said I wasn't going. They were shocked. They asked if they heard me right. I told them again, I'm not confessing. They got happy and said it was good that I finally came to my senses. They said there were plenty of other girls and I shouldn't waste my time on one who didn't like me. They wanted to celebrate and drink again that night. I just kept eating and told them to log into the game. Whoever played worse that night would pay the bill. We started playing and forgot about everything else. Down at the girls' dormitory, a lot of people were still waiting for me. Some even set up a betting pool on whether my 100th confession would succeed, but I never showed up. The crowd waited past 7, then 7:30. Everyone was surprised because I had never missed a single day before. I had already confessed to Lin Chiyue 99 times. Everyone knew about it. For the 100th time, I was supposed to show up under the girls' dorm and do it again, but I didn't go. My roommates and I were in the middle of a game. We were right in the middle of a team fight when my phone started ringing. I didn't pick up. A bit later, it rang again. Still didn't pick up. Then Li Ji, my roommate, answered his own phone. Turns out some girls from Lin Chiyue's dorm were calling. They asked if I was there. Li Ji told them I was right here in the dorm playing games with them. They asked if something happened at home, like with my dad being sick. Li Ji said, no, we're just gaming. That's when Lin Chiyue grabbed the phone herself and asked directly what I was doing. When she heard we were playing games, she went quiet. I wasn't there, but from what the guys told me later, the whole dorm room lost it. Lin Chiyue had been waiting for me the whole time. She got really worked up when I didn't show. She even stood up suddenly, which shocked her roommates because she was usually super calm and proper, like nothing ever fazed her. After they learned I was just playing games, her friends got angry on her behalf. They said things like, how could I do this, especially after saying I would come, and that she had even prepared to accept this time. While they were talking, Lin Chiyue suddenly took off running out of the dorm. By the time she reached the boys' dorm, a whole crowd of people had followed her. They were all shocked. The school beauty running across campus to the guys' dormitory was something nobody expected. A lot of them started filming and betting on what would happen. She stood there at the entrance, breathing hard, face all red. She looked embarrassed but also determined. We were yelling and focused on the match. When we finally won, everyone was excited. I wiped the sweat off my forehead and joked around with them for a bit. Then one of the guys mentioned that some girl had called earlier asking for me. I checked my phone and saw a bunch of missed calls from unknown numbers, but I didn't think much of it. Li Ji said the voice sounded familiar, like it might have been Lin Chiyue. The whole room got quiet for a second. I told them he must have misheard. No way it was her. Right then, a student burst into the room and said Lin Yue was downstairs at the boys' dorm looking for me. Everyone froze. My roommates started freaking out and telling me to clean up quick. They even tried to spray me with perfume and fix my hair. I blocked them and said I'd just go down like this. Truth was, I felt a bit panicked. I had confessed to her 99 times only because of the system tasks. I needed the rewards to pay for my dad's surgery. I didn't actually have feelings for her. She was pretty, sure, but that was it. I never expected anything real to come from it. I'm from the countryside, not that good looking, and she's the top school beauty. It didn't make sense. But now she was here. I went downstairs. A big crowd had gathered. Lin Yue was standing there waiting. She looked shy when she saw me and said softly that I had finally come down. Then the system gave me a new task in my head. It said, Lin Yue wants to confess. Option 1, accept, get 1 million yuan. Option 2, reject, get the Huanshen pill that can cure all diseases. I thought about it right there. The money and having a school beauty as a girlfriend sounded good, but the pill could actually cure my dad completely, not just treat his illness with money. That decided it for me. I stood there looking at her while she waited. She seemed really well behaved and a little nervous. The crowd around us was going crazy, but I was focused on what to do next. I needed to figure out how to turn her down without being too harsh. After all, the rewards I'd been getting all this time came from her. In a way, she was helping save my dad. She looked really shy. A lot of people were watching us, but nobody said anything. I took a breath and asked her why she came. Truth was, I didn't have any real feelings for her before. But that day she looked especially pretty in her pink dress, and for a second I actually felt a little tempted. She was looking at me, too. Her best friend whispered something to her, then stepped forward and asked me why I hadn't come to confess today. That broke the mood completely. I realized I had almost slipped. If I had said yes right then, I wouldn't get the Huanshen pill from the system. Before I could answer, Lin Yue's expression changed back to normal. She asked me directly if I had given up. I felt relieved. This was the real her, the cold school beauty. I told her, yes, I've given up. Everything went quiet. People looked confused. Her friend started saying that if I just confessed one more time, Lin Yue would definitely agree. Lin Yue pulled her friend back and asked me why I had confessed to her so many times before if I was giving up now. She wanted to know if all those times meant nothing. I looked at her and said that every confession meant something to me. From the first time I saw her, I liked her. She was my first love, so I didn't know any other way except to keep confessing and sending different gifts every day. Even when she rejected me every time, I kept going because I wanted to touch her heart. But yesterday, she still wouldn't accept the flowers, so today I was choosing to give up. Those 99 confessions were the account I gave to my first love. This 100th time of not confessing was the account I gave to myself. Then I said goodbye to my first love. I turned around, grabbed my roommates, and told them we were leaving. As we walked away, Lin Yue called my name from behind. She asked where we were going. My roommate Li Ji told her we were going to drink. She said quietly that I should drink less. It wasn't good for my health. I just nodded. People around us were confused. They didn't understand what had just happened. Some of them started arguing about their bets and whether they should get their money back. After we left, I went with my roommates to eat barbecue and drink for a while. Lin Yue went back to her dorm. Later, I heard what happened on her side. She got back to her room feeling down. She opened the school forum even though she never went there before. There was a big pinned post that recorded all 99 of my confessions. What gift I brought each day, what I said, everything. There were videos too. She went through all of them, from day 1 with the milk tea to day 36 when it rained and I got soaked. She watched the videos one by one. At some point her eyes got red and she started crying. She told her friends later that she had gotten used to rejecting people, but I was the only one who kept going for so long. She said there were times she almost wanted to accept, and lately she had started looking forward to 6 o'clock every day just to hear my confession from her window. It had become a habit for her. She kept reading the comments. A lot of people were saying my last words were really moving. Some girls said they thought I was handsome. Others were arguing about why I gave up when I was so close. One comment said I had dignity and that love can't be humble. That seemed to hit her. Her best friends came over and saw she was upset. They told her to ignore me for a few days and that I would probably come back confessing even more. But she got angry at them and said I wasn't that kind of person. Then she stood up and went to her friend's cabinet. They thought she wanted to make hot pot because she was sad, but she said no. She was going to make hangover soup. She planned to wait for us to come back from drinking, give it to me, and confess. Her friends were shocked. They asked why she would do that after I went off to drink skewers while she was sad. She told them I wasn't quite right earlier. She had noticed I was wearing yesterday's clothes, hadn't washed my hair, and smelled like alcohol. She saw a video on the forum from the night before where I got really drunk, cried, and got a demerit from the dorm manager. She figured I went drinking because of her. Her friends understood then and said they would help. They asked if she knew how to make hangover soup. She said she would look it up online. I was at the barbecue stall with my 3 dorm brothers that evening. I hadn't planned to drink much. Yesterday I got pretty drunk because of my dad's illness, but today that wasn't weighing on me anymore. I had the Huanshen pill that could cure anything, so I felt calm. I decided I'd take leave tomorrow, go back to my hometown, and sort out my dad's health. The guys were drinking and chatting happily. They kept saying how crazy it was that the school beauty was chasing me today, that it was something they never imagined. They asked why I wasn't going to confess to her again, since she had hinted so obviously, and all I needed was one last step to bring Lin Qiwei home. They told me all that stuff about an explanation to myself and meaningless things was unrealistic. They said I should be practical because she's Lin Qiwei, the dream girl for so many guys at the University of Finance and Economics. I just smiled and didn't say much. Compared to my dad's situation, none of that felt important. Then I suddenly realized something. The system still hadn't told me the mission was complete. I checked it in my head and saw it really wasn't finished. That's when I understood. She hadn't actually confessed to me today. She only came to ask why I hadn't confessed to her. My whole long speech about giving up was pointless because she never said she liked me. I felt confused. All that effort didn't count for anything. Now I was wondering if she would still confess later. If she didn't, what would happen with my dad's illness? I couldn't exactly hint for her to confess and then reject her hard. That would be too cruel. I decided to eat a couple more skewers and head back to the dorm. I'd figure it out later. When we got near the dorm, there was a huge crowd of guys waiting. A lot of them were looking out the windows from the upper floors. My roommate Li Ji, who was pretty drunk, suddenly sobered up. We both thought maybe Lin Qiwei's admirers were there to cause trouble because she had come to the dorm herself. Li Ji told me to run and said he'd hold them back for me, so I turned and ran straight away. Li Ji walked toward the crowd and told them they'd have to get past him if they wanted to catch me. Lin Qiwei was standing there with a thermos, waiting. She had made soup for me and looked nervous. When she saw me run away, she got confused and didn't understand what was happening. Her friends were also surprised. They asked Li Ji where I went, and he repeated that they had to go through him first. Everyone around looked at Li Ji strangely after that. Later that night, back in the girls' dorm, Lin Qiwei asked her friends, "Tell me, why did Xiaoyang run away? Does he hate me?" Her friends told her that Li Ji had already explained everything, but Lin Qiwei still looked upset. She bit her lip and stared at the thermos of hangover soup she had made. She got angry and said she might as well drink it herself. A few of her friends tried to taste it, but after one sip, they complained that she had put way too much salt in it. She said she followed the recipe and only used 2 spoonfuls, but it turned out she had used a soup ladle. After the crowd outside finally left, I went back to the dorm. When I found out those people were just there to watch because Lin Qiwei showed up, I got really annoyed at Li Ji. If I had known, I wouldn't have run. Li Ji tried to explain that he was just worried about me because Lin Qiwei has so many admirers. I told him to stay away from me or I might accidentally kill him. Then Li Ji asked if I still wanted to be with Lin Qiwei. I didn't answer directly. The truth is, I was worried. It was clear she came to confess that night, but I missed it completely because I ran away. Now I didn't know if she would try again. If she didn't, my dad's situation would be a problem. That night, I couldn't sleep well. The next morning, someone knocked on the door very early. I opened it, and my friend Old Yang told me Lin Qiwei was downstairs again. My roommates all jumped up when they heard. They said she probably brought breakfast. I felt relieved. This meant the mission could finally be completed, and my dad would be okay. I washed up quickly. My roommates also got ready fast. Li Ji asked me to introduce him to one of Lin Qiwei's friends after we got together. I told them I wasn't planning to get together with her. They were shocked. I said if she came to confess, I would reject her. Li Ji and the others didn't believe me and started betting money on it. Downstairs, Lin Qiwei was standing there in a white dress, holding a bag of steamed buns and fried dough sticks in one hand and soy milk in the other. She kept looking toward the dorm entrance. A lot of guys were watching and whispering about how unbelievable it was that the school beauty was waiting for me like this. I took a deep breath and went down. I came down the stairs and all eyes were on me. Lin Qiwei saw me and rushed forward right away. The dorm manager auntie had to shout at her or she probably would have run straight into the boys' building. She held out a bag and said she bought me breakfast. She didn't know if I liked steamed buns or fried dough sticks, so she got both. A bunch of guys around us started groaning and complaining. Some were taking out their phones to record it. I thought for a second and took the breakfast. I told her thanks. She said I'd given her things before, and this was her first time giving me something. Then she asked if I had anything I wanted to say to her. I asked her straight up if she had something to tell me. She got really nervous, looked down, and kept playing with the hem of her skirt. After a bit, she finally looked up and said she liked me and asked if we could be together. Everyone around us went completely quiet. Then a lot of the guys started cursing and saying their hearts were broken. I knew this was the moment. My dad's situation was on the line, so I needed her to confess. But now that it happened, I had to figure out how to turn her down without being too harsh. I took a breath and told her, "I'm sorry. You're a really nice girl." The whole place went dead silent for a second. Then everyone started saying, "Holy crap," over and over. Lin Qiwei just stood there stunned. She took a couple steps back, looking at me like she couldn't believe it. She tried to say something else, but nothing came out. Her eyes turned red really fast and she started crying. She asked me why, saying she'd put aside her pride to confess and how could I do this to her. I told her again I was sorry and thanked her for the breakfast. There wasn't really anything else I could say that would help. She covered her face with her arm, turned around, and ran back toward the girls' dorm. The guys around me were all shocked. They kept saying things like, how could I reject the school beauty, that I must be crazy or something. The class bell had already rung, but nobody was moving. A lot of them were still standing there holding their phones, posting about it. I got the system notification. Mission complete. I received the Huanshen pill. That was it. The confession happened, I turned her down, and now everyone at school was calling it Heartbreak Day. I got back to the dorm after everything that happened outside. I went into the bathroom for a bit and closed the door. While I was in there, Li Ji got a call from Lin Qiyue's friend, Li Xiaoyan. She was angry and asked him what I was thinking, saying I made Lin Qiyue cry. Li Ji put it on speaker, so I heard the whole thing. He told her that I had confessed to Lin Qiyue 99 times before. He said that if she was this upset after being rejected once, she should think about how I felt after getting turned down so many times. He told them there's no hierarchy in love and that my pride mattered too. The girls' side of the call went quiet. Then Lin Qiyue started talking again. She decided that I must be testing her. She said now she understood that real love means both sides have to confess many times. She made up her mind that she would confess to me 99 times, just like I did, and only then we would get together. She sounded excited about it, like it was some romantic story. Her friends were shocked. They asked if she was serious. She said yes, because only someone who really liked her for the right reasons would reject her like that. I came out of the bathroom after the call ended. Li Ji looked at me surprised and asked if I'd been crying in there. I told him no. Why would I be crying? I was the one who rejected her, not the other way around. He didn't know what to say. I started packing some things because I had just called my mom and found out my dad's condition was getting worse. I needed to go home right away. I filled out a leave request form and gave it to Li Ji to pass to the advisor. I got to the train station, bought my ticket, and since there was still over an hour until departure, I just walked around for a bit. Train stations are always full of all kinds of people. Not far away, I saw a girl squatting on the ground. She didn't have much with her, and her long hair was covering her face. She kept looking around, sighing, then hugging her knees like she was trying to decide something. After a while, she took out a piece of chalk and started writing on the ground. I figured she probably lost her wallet and was asking for help with travel money. Stuff like that happens all the time. I didn't think much of it. Then suddenly the system spoke in my head. Ding. Mission issued, discerning eye. Option 1, help the passerby. Reward, top-tier phaeton car. Option 2, expose the truth and stop people from being tricked. Reward, 1 million cash. Option 3, mind my own business. Reward, all abilities +1. I was a bit surprised it could trigger a mission like this. I looked at the options. Before, I probably would have just ignored it. But my money situation wasn't bad right now, and helping wouldn't be hard. Option 2 didn't make sense since I didn't know if she was real or fake. So I walked over. I pulled out a few 100 yuan bills, went up to her, and said, Lin Qiyue, what are you doing here? What a coincidence. You okay? I used my body to block the crowd from seeing. I figured if she really was in trouble, the last thing she'd want was to lose face in front of everyone. She looked startled. She clearly didn't understand why I called her that name, but she saw the money and stayed quiet. I turned to the people watching and told them to move along, that everyone has tough times. Then I wiped away what she wrote on the ground with my foot and asked her again if she was okay. The system dinged right away. Mission complete. Reward, top-tier phaeton car arriving in 20 minutes. She said she was fine. Her voice sounded nice. She still kept her face hidden behind her hair. Then she pointed toward the restroom and asked me to wait for her there. I said okay. I waited a few minutes, but she didn't come back. I thought to myself, guess I really ran into a scammer. But it didn't matter. A few 100 yuan was nothing compared to the car I was getting. Then I heard a light voice behind me. Who are you calling a scammer? I turned around. It was the same girl, but she had changed her clothes and was carrying a bag. She let her hair down and smiled. She told me her real name was Zhang Yan. She was a sophomore at Jiangdu Medical College. Her luggage really had been stolen while she was sleeping in the waiting hall. Everything was in it. Phone, wallet, ID. She went and changed clothes because she felt embarrassed with so many people around. I chatted with her for a bit. I joked that falling asleep in a place like this was impressive, and that the thief was an idiot for stealing her luggage instead of her since she was pretty. She laughed and her mood got better. I asked why she didn't go to the police or get a friend to help with a taxi. She said it was too embarrassing. I told her she was being too proud for her own good. Then I pointed out that even if she had money now, without ID, she couldn't buy a ticket. She looked lost for a moment. Right then, my phone rang. It was the car delivery people. They said the phaeton had arrived and asked where I was. I told them to wait for me outside the station. Zhang Yan hesitated, then followed me. I noticed and asked why she was tagging along. She just grinned and didn't say anything. We went to the parking lot. A truck was there. The guys unloaded a black phaeton. I signed the papers, and that was it. Jiangyan smiled and said, "Not bad, Senior Xiao. So young, and you already have a car." I just smiled and said, "Yeah, it was a Volkswagen, probably around 70 or 80,000. I didn't explain more. In truth, it was a top-tier Phaeton, way more expensive, but I liked how low-key it was. The reward was perfect for me. I asked Jiangyan if she wanted me to drop her off at her school first, since Jiangdu Medical College is right next to my university. She said she was already on her way home, so going back to school didn't make sense. Then she looked at the car and suggested I just drive her all the way home instead. She even joked about how comfortable it would be riding in a luxury car and winked at me while pulling her skirt up a bit. I rolled my eyes and told her no. I had to get home quickly to deliver medicine to my dad. Every minute mattered. She pouted when I said that. She kept asking where I was headed. I told her I was going home to JM City. She got excited and said her home was in JM City too. Before I could say anything else, she opened the door and got in the car. I told her I was going straight home and she could figure out her own plans from there. She said she wasn't in a hurry. Once we started driving, she noticed how nice the inside of the car was and asked if Volkswagens were this luxurious now. I just smiled and said it was all for show. She saw a bag of documents on the seat and secretly opened it. I took it back and told her not to go through other people's things, then reminded her to put on her seatbelt. She fell asleep pretty quickly after that. I focused on driving. I've had my license since freshman year and I drove carefully. The car handled well. After more than 2 hours, we reached JM City. I tried waking her up to ask where her house was, but she just mumbled for me to let her sleep longer. I decided not to waste more time and drove straight to my home in the old residential area. The security uncle at the gate greeted me and asked about the car. I said I just bought it. He also asked if Jiangyan was my girlfriend. I told him she was just a friend I gave a ride to. When we pulled up, my mom was waiting downstairs. She looked tired, with a lot of wrinkles on her face, even though she's only 50. Her eyes were red, like she had been crying. I got out and told her I bought the car. She didn't believe it at first and asked if I did anything illegal. I explained that I earned the money through business with a friend and that the $800,000 I sent her yesterday was from the same thing. I told her our family was doing well now. She was relieved and touched my cheek. Then she noticed Jiangyan sleeping in the passenger seat and whispered if she was my girlfriend. I said no, just a friend from the same city. My mom seemed a bit disappointed. I asked about my dad. Her face changed and she said he was lying inside. She told me how hard his life had been, working all these years and now suffering from so many illnesses. Her eyes got red again. I told her not to worry, that I had a solution. I explained that I got a secret recipe from a friend that could cure all kinds of problems. I gave her the example of the old man with terminal cancer who got completely better after taking the medicine. Even his diabetes and gout disappeared. She was surprised, but still doubtful. She mentioned that Dad didn't want to stay in the hospital because it cost too much, over 1,000 yen a day. We went inside. My dad was lying on the bed, looking pale and weak. His hair was shaved because of the medicine for his cerebral infarction. He looked much older than his age. But when he saw me, he tried to sit up and smiled. For a moment, I couldn't hold it in, and tears came down my face. My dad looked at the light purple pill and frowned. "Xiaoyang, you're already this old. You can't really believe in these quack doctors' scams, right?" I told him, "Dad, just trust me this once. I spent a lot of money on this. Just try it." He and my mom were both getting older, but their minds were still sharp. They didn't believe there was any divine medicine that could cure everything. Still, because I kept saying how amazing it was, my dad hesitated for a moment and then swallowed the pill. He figured it was a gesture of filial piety from his son. Plus, with his current illness, there weren't any other real options left anyway. My mom still looked worried, so I stepped over and hugged her. I said, "Don't worry, Mom. Everything will be fine." A little while later, cold sweat appeared on my dad's forehead and his face looked a bit strange. I asked him, "Dad, how are you feeling?" He said he felt much more comfortable. His chest wasn't tight anymore and his head had stopped aching. My mom quickly went over with a towel to wipe his sweat. She looked really happy. I knew the medicine was working, so I felt relieved. If my dad's illness really got cured, I'd owe Lin Qiue a huge favor. Right then, I heard Lu Xing's voice from outside calling for my parents. Lu Xing is my childhood friend and old high school classmate. After graduation, he started working locally. He often came by to help my family and take care of my dad. We're pretty close. My mom told me to go see him since he'd helped us a lot these past 2 years. I went outside. Lu Xing was walking around my car. He said, "Whose car is this? It's blocking the way." Then he noticed Jiang Yan and muttered, "What a gorgeous girl." I patted him on the shoulder. He turned around and said, "Old Xiao, you're back." I gave him a light punch. He asked if this was my car. I said yes, I just got it a few hours ago. He was surprised and asked how I could afford it, since he knew my family's situation well. I told him I'd made a bit of money. He said he was just passing by to see if my dad needed help. I thanked him. Then Jiang Yan woke up in the car. She got out and I told her I'd take her home. She said she wasn't in a hurry and wanted to go inside to say hello to my parents. I stopped her because I didn't want to spend half a day explaining everything. Lu Xing asked about my dad's health. I told him it was fine and that he should mostly recover in a couple of days. He was shocked and started to say something about how that wasn't possible, but I interrupted him and didn't explain more. It was dinner time, so I told them to wait while I went inside to talk to my parents. I said I'd treat them to a big meal since we hadn't seen each other in a while. Inside, my mom grabbed my hand excitedly and could barely speak. My dad's face looked much better, not as haggard. She said he was hungry now and that she was going to cook. She was trying hard not to cry. I just nodded at my dad and told him to rest first. Then I said I was going out to eat with Lu Xing and that my mom shouldn't cook for me. She agreed and said I should thank Lu Xing properly. Outside, Lu Xing and Jiang Yan were already chatting. Jiang Yan is more outgoing than Lin Qiwei. Lu Xing teased me, saying they were talking about me and that my girlfriend was trying to get information out of him. I told him she wasn't my girlfriend. We'd just met today. He joked about flash marriages. Jiang Yan didn't deny it, just got in the passenger seat. Lu Xing got in too and checked out the interior. He was impressed and said it was a top-spec phaeton that cost at least 2 million. Jiang Yan was shocked and asked about my family situation since she'd heard we were struggling. I didn't say much. I asked Lu Xing how he recognized the car. He said he works at a car dealership now. He asked straight up if I'd rented it just to show off. I told him I bought it. Then I asked Jiang Yan where her home was so I could drop her off, but she refused again. Lu Xing joked that she was planning to latch onto me. She laughed and said a beauty like her latching onto me would be my good fortune. I told her to get out. I'd drop her somewhere. She got anxious and said if I let her follow me, she'd let me touch her legs. She even tried to lift her legs in the boots and put them on my lap. I told her I was driving and not to mess around. I said if she was sleepy, she should rest and I'd wake her when we arrived. She chuckled and closed her eyes. Then Lu Xing mentioned that our class was having a reunion tonight. Li Kong organized it. On the surface, it's a class reunion, but really, he's trying to pursue Qing Xuantong again. I remembered seeing it in the group chat. I said I definitely wanted to go. Lu Xing said Li Kong had been chasing her for 4 or 5 years, confessing many times and always getting rejected. We decided right away that we were going. We both like watching that kind of show. Jiang Yan suddenly asked, a class reunion? Can I go too? I told her, hey, this is our high school reunion. What does it have to do with you? She said that in novels, guys like me usually get mocked at reunions. If I brought her along and pretended she was my girlfriend, it would be a good chance to show off and slap some faces. She sounded excited about it. Both Lu Xing and I were speechless. She giggled and kept pushing. Take me with you. At worst, I'll let you touch my legs again. You won't find long, white, tender legs like these anywhere. I sighed and said I didn't know where she got all that confidence from. She pulled her dress up to her knees to show me. I got a headache and finally gave in. All right, stop. I'll take you. Lu Xing gave me a silent thumbs up from the back seat. I warned her not to cause me any trouble. She said she'd behave. We arrived at a small alley. Lu Xing said it had been a long time since he'd been here. We joked around with Jiang Yan, saying we used to trick girls into coming here, and that there was a place inside that trafficked young women. She played along and said she'd studied Wing Chun and could handle 3 or 5 guys easily. We laughed about it. After joking for a while, we went into a barbecue restaurant. I told them the barbecue here was excellent and you couldn't find it anywhere else in JM City. As soon as we stepped inside, the system gave me a new mission. Get the secret barbecue recipe from this shop. The reward was 5 million yuan. I was surprised because the previous missions had all been about girls, but I didn't really care. As long as it paid, I'd do it. There weren't many customers. The boss, a man in his 50s, was sitting there looking tired. He recognized me and Lu Xing right away. We chatted for a bit. He said business had gotten bad after the school moved and the road changed. He was losing money every month. He told us his wife had been in a serious car accident. The driver who hit her ran away and they never caught him. She was in the hospital and it was costing a lot of money every day. His daughter also needed money for university. He looked really worn out. I felt for him. It reminded me of what my family went through when my dad got sick. After talking for a while, I asked him, "Boss, do you still plan to keep running this place even though you're losing money?" He shook his head. I said, "I really like your barbecue. It would be a shame if the shop closed. How about you sell me the secret recipe?" Lu Song looked confused and asked why I wanted to buy it. I told him I'd made some money recently from opening a restaurant and that I wanted the recipe because the barbecue here was so good. The boss was surprised. He thought about it and said he needed 400,000. Then he lowered it to 380,000. I told him, "I'll give you 500,000. It hasn't been easy for you." He looked shocked that I raised the price myself. I said, "If you agree, I'll transfer 200,000 right now. Prepare the contract and the recipe. I'll get the remaining 300,000 to you within half an hour." He got excited and quickly agreed. He shouted toward the kitchen, "Xuantong, come out and attend to the guests." A girl walked out from the kitchen. Lu Xing and I both said at the same time, "Holy crap, Qing Xuantong." She saw me and Lu Xing and said, "Xiaoyang, Lu Xing, it's you guys." Her dad smiled and told us she was his daughter, and since we were old classmates, he'd go print the contract while she made us something to eat. We said okay. After he left, she asked what we wanted. I ordered mud-roasted chicken and a plate of roast chicken. Lu-sing watched her and offered to help in the kitchen, but she told him no. Guests don't cook their own food. She went to the back to prepare the food. Jiangyan watched her go and said, no wonder we wanted to go to the class reunion, since a girl like that would make anyone show up. Then she added that her own legs were longer and whiter, and she moved them closer to me. I told her not everyone is like her. She said she was proud of her long legs. Then she asked straight up what was going on between me and Qing Xuantong, because the way she looked at me seemed off. I said we were just classmates. She started to suggest something more, but I told her to shut up. The boss came back with the contract. I looked it over, and it was fine. I told him the contract looked good and asked for his card number so I could send the 200,000 deposit. He gave it to me, and after the transfer went through, he was really happy. He said he'd write down the recipe for me. Right then, I got the notification that the task was complete and I'd received 5 million. Jiangyan saw it on my phone and asked if I was really that rich. I told her to move back. She was too close. The truth is, when she leaned in like that, her chest got right in my face and it threw me off. I had to take a breath and get my mind back on business. After I calmed down a bit, I transferred the remaining 300,000 to the boss. He was thrilled and went to help in the kitchen. Jiangyan kept sitting close and asked me to lend her money to buy a phone. I told her to just give me her address so I could send her home. She reminded me I promised she could go to the reunion with me. Then she offered to let me touch her legs if I lent her the money and started to lift her skirt. I told her we were in public and to have some restraint. She laughed because she knew it got to me. In the end, I agreed to buy her a phone after we ate. I figured it wasn't a big deal compared to the car I got from her earlier task. Lu-sing told us both to stay away from him. He said he was already full from watching us before the food even arrived. The food came out and we started eating. Jiangyan behaved herself while Qing Xuantong was around. Qing Xuantong asked if we were going to the class reunion that night. Lu-sing said yes, there was stuff to talk about, then quickly shut his mouth. She didn't seem to know anything and just asked us to call her when we were leaving so we could go together. We said sure. Lu-sing and I looked at each other. It worked out perfectly. We were bringing the person the gossip was about. After the meal, Lu-sing left to handle some things. I took Jiangyan to buy the phone. On the way, she suddenly asked why I didn't just support her since I was so rich. I almost choked on my water. I told her to stop messing around. We needed to buy the phone so I could go see my dad. She got excited and said she thought I was taking her to meet my parents. She even called me honey in this sweet voice. I told her no one said that and to get out of the car. She refused and stuck her tongue out. Then she took off her boots, put her feet on the passenger seat, and poked her head out the sunroof. I told her to get down because we were in the city. She said it felt good. I reminded her it was a new car. She said she just took her shoes off. I still told her to put them back on and get her feet off the seat. She stuck her bare foot toward me and told me to smell it if I didn't believe her. I grabbed her foot and put the shoe back on while we were stopped at a light. She actually let me do it without fighting. After that, she sat properly, put her seatbelt on, and looked out the window. After we bought the phone and got her a SIM card using my ID, Jiangyan and I walked around the mall. She told me I should buy some new clothes because what I was wearing was too casual for the class reunion. I said it was fine and comfortable. She shook her head and said it looked tacky and didn't match my status now that I had millions. She said I should dress more high class. I wasn't convinced at first, but she kept pushing, so I went with her. She dragged me into a women's clothing store. I realized right away she was just using it as an excuse to shop for herself. I tried to pull her out and reminded her she already owed me money. She said she would definitely pay me back and joked that at worst she'd give herself to me as payment. I told her she was dreaming. She picked out a dress and asked if I thought she would look good in it. I said no. She tried it on anyway and showed me. It was a short white dress. She said it was cold, so she had black stockings and asked me to help. Her put them on because she couldn't reach. I turned my head away and refused. Then she changed into a black skirt, white shirt, black stockings, and a tie. I looked and said it looked good. She was happy, bagged the clothes, and had me pay. It only cost a few hundred yuan. After that, we went to a men's store. She picked out a white shirt, an autumn trench coat, and some pants for me. I changed into them. When I came out, she said I looked handsome. She took out a tie and told me to lower my head. I said I didn't want to wear one. She stood on her toes and tied it for me anyway. She looked me over and said the clothes made me look like a real heartthrob. I checked myself in the mirror. Then I got a notification. Charm increased by 10, and I received 30% shares of Xi'an Group. I was surprised there was a reward for changing clothes. Jiangyan picked a few more similar outfits and told me to pay. I paid for everything. She looked really pleased with how I turned out. Evening. I picked up Lu-sing first, then we went to get Qing Xuantong. When Lu-sing got in the car, he looked at me and said, "Holy crap, old Xiao." I asked what was wrong. He said nothing, then joked that I was looking more handsome. I told him he was the one being thick-skinned for saying that about himself. Jiangyan was sitting there smiling while she looked at me. We got to the restaurant. Qing Xuantong had already been waiting a while. She was still wearing the same clothes from the morning. She looked a bit surprised when she saw Zhangyan. She said she thought we would be even later. I replied that we wouldn't make the school beauty wait and get anxious. She said Zhangyan was the real school beauty. Zhangyan answered that Sister Qing was beautiful too. When we got back to the car, Zhangyan tried to sit in the front passenger seat. I pulled her back and told her to sit in the rear. Lu Xing opened the back door and let Qing Xuantong get in first. I just hoped Zhang Yan wouldn't keep trying small tricks. On the way, Qing Xuantong asked why I came back to JM City since I study in Jiangdu. I told her I came back to see my parents. She said she took a leave from school because her mom was hospitalized and her dad couldn't take care of her. Then she asked if I bought their family recipe because of her. I said no. I really opened a gourmet shop, and when I decided to buy it, I didn't even know her dad was the owner. She looked a little disappointed after I said that. We finally arrived at the hotel. Lu Xing pulled me aside and showed me his phone. Li Kong had made a small group with some classmates to plan a confession to Qing Xuantong right there. We walked into the hotel. Zhang Yan suddenly took my arm. I felt my elbow press into her chest. I told her to stop and tried to pull my arm away, but she held on tight. In the struggle, I ended up pushing even more into her. She looked up at me and said if I moved again, she wouldn't like it. I stopped moving. Right then, the lights in the lobby went out. Qing Xuantong said the power was out. A moment later, 2 spotlights turned on. One lit up Li Kong, who was holding flowers. The other one lit up me and Zhang Yan. Li Kong walked forward without looking carefully, knelt on one knee in front of me, and started confessing. He said he liked Qing Xuantong for many years, that his feelings were sincere, and that persistence would bring results. I coughed and said, "Class monitor, I'm not worthy of such a grand gesture." Li Kong looked up and saw me standing there. He pointed at me but couldn't speak clearly. I was confused too. Then I noticed Qing Xuantong had hooked her arm onto mine. I didn't even know when that happened. She leaned close to my ear and whispered that she was afraid of the dark and asked me to help her. Everyone went quiet. They were all staring at us. Zhang Yan spoke up and said, "Is this a welcome performance? Nice idea." Then she added, "If there are no more performances, turn on the lights. I'm afraid of the dark, too." The guy controlling the lights turned them back on. In the middle of the lobby, there was a big 5-tiered cake. Li Kang looked lost. He said my name through gritted teeth and glared at me. I wanted to explain, but right then a voice sounded in my head. The system gave me a mission called Confession Night. Option 1. Pretend to be Qing Xuantong's boyfriend and help her reject Li Kang. Reward, 1 Jiangdu Happy Garden Villa. Option 2. Distance myself from her and get 3 million yen. Option 3. Confess to her and get a universal skill book. I ruled out confessing right away. I'd already done that too many times. The other 2 were hard to choose between. While I was thinking, Zhang Yan saw Qing Xuantong holding my arm and got upset. She asked her what she was doing. Qing Xuantong answered, "Why are you holding my boyfriend's hand?" Then she told Li Kong she was sorry, but she already had a boyfriend, and that it was me. Zhang Yan immediately said she was my girlfriend too. Everyone was shocked. The guys looked really envious. I stood there not knowing what to say. I had become the boyfriend of both of them without deciding anything. Then the system said I completed an achievement called Embracing Both Left and Right. I got 10% shares of Xi'an Group. It also automatically completed the mission and gave me the villa. Li Kang was completely broken. He kept saying my name angrily. Lu Xing stepped forward and told him this was a class reunion and he shouldn't make such a fuss. He said how I dated was my own business and that confessing to someone who already had a boyfriend wasn't right. He also said Li Kang was just jealous. The 2 girls each held one of my hands and pulled me further into the hotel. Lu Xing followed us. Li Kang stayed behind, angry and humiliated. I didn't hear what else he said. So they dragged me into the private room before I could even react. As soon as we stepped in, both Qing Xuantong and Zhang Yan lowered their heads at the same time, trying to claim they went in first. Zhang Yan put her hands on her hips and looked really pleased with herself. Qing Xuantong just sighed and held my arm tighter, like she was annoyed I didn't step with my left foot or something. I looked at the 2 of them and said, "Childish." They were still holding on to me so tight I could barely breathe, and they kept pulling me in different directions. I had no idea if they wanted to go left or right. I honestly thought they might tear me in half. Then the lights in the room started flashing with all these colored spots. Confetti exploded everywhere. And a bunch of girls started singing congratulations to the class monitor and Qing Xuantong, saying they'd grow old together and stay united forever. That's when I realized Li Kang had set up the whole thing. Right as I was about to say something, a small cake came flying straight at my face. I could have dodged it easily, but Zhang Yan pulled me one way and Qing Xuantong pulled me the other, so I couldn't move. I ended up yelling, "Just slice me in half already. Each of you take one side. This is torture." The cake hit me right in the face. After it was over, the girl who threw it looked proud and asked if I was surprised. I told her she could keep her surprise. When the lights came back on, everyone saw it was me, not Li Kang. They were all shocked. Zhang Yan and Qing Xuantong quickly started wiping the cake off my face. Qing Xuantong asked if I was okay, sounding sorry. I told her they nearly tore me apart and asked why they were acting so childish. Zhang Yan kept apologizing too. I was pretty annoyed. I just wanted to watch the drama, and somehow I became the main event. Then I noticed the cream had gotten inside my clothes, and it was all sticky. Zhang Yan suggested we rent a room so I could shower, and she'd grab me some spare clothes from the car. I agreed. After Zhang Yan left, Qing Xuantong kept rubbing my arm and apologized again. I was still irritated and told her I really thought they were going to rip me in two. She hesitated for a second, then suddenly leaned in and kissed me on the cheek. Everyone in the room froze. I was stunned too. This was the same Qing Xuantong I'd known for 3 years in high school, the quiet, pure girl, and now she pulled that. She looked at me with a red face and asked if it still hurt. I got annoyed and said, "What do you think? You've watched too many of those cheesy dramas. You think your kiss is some kind of magic medicine? Does it look like I'm Snow White and you're Prince Charming?" She burst out laughing. Then she walked around to my other side, held my face, and said she'd kiss the other cheek too so it would be even. I turned bright red and told her to get lost, calling her shameless and a little pervert. She just laughed even harder. Everyone was still standing there, stunned, whispering stuff like, "Is that really Qing Xuantong?" and joking about possession or what happened to her during university. One girl even said the air smelled sour from all the jealousy. Then Zhang Yan came back with the clothes. She saw what was happening and asked Qing Xuantong what she was doing. I pointed at her and said she was taking advantage of me and bullying me. Qing Xuantong pouted and explained that I kept saying it hurt, so she tried kissing it better like they do on TV shows. Zhang Yan got mad when she saw the lip print on my left cheek and said she wanted one too. I pushed her away and told them both they were sick. Then I left the room fast. Right outside, I bumped into Li Kang. I told him sorry and said he should control Qing Xuantong because she was acting like a female rogue, kissing people randomly. I wiped the lip print off my face and left to book a room for a shower. I told them to eat without me. I showered and changed quickly, then went back downstairs. When I got to the room, they still hadn't started eating. The place was a mess with confetti and cake all over the dishes. I suggested we switch to another room and reorder the food. Someone said changing rooms would mean starting over on the bill. I realized Li Kang probably wouldn't want to pay more after his plan failed, so I told them I'd open a new room and pay for it myself. I called the waiter and asked for a similar private room. The waiter said all the normal ones were booked, but Golden Jade Pavilion Room 1 was available. I told him to book it. Everyone gasped. They told me it cost at least $200,000. I was a bit surprised too, but I said it was fine and handed over my card. No password. The waiter took us up in a special elevator. Everyone kept asking how I got so rich. I just said I did some small business. Zhang Yan and Qing Xuantong stayed on either side of me the whole time. Back in the old room, Li Kang was left standing there alone in the mess. Later I heard that while we were eating, someone suggested making me the new class monitor since I was rich and could organize better gatherings. A bunch of people agreed and started cheering for it. They said Li Kang's position wasn't really respected anyway. Li Kang was standing outside the door listening. His face turned ugly. In the end, he didn't come in. He just turned around and left. Zhang Yan pulled Qing Xuantong over and asked her if my popularity was always this high. Qing Xuantong said it had always been decent, but tonight it was way more than usual. She looked at me and shook her head. The girls kept glancing at me and whispering. They said they didn't remember me being this handsome before. They thought I was just tall and sunny looking, but today I seemed different, like a big glow-up. The whole conversation kept circling back to me. We didn't stay too late. After everyone ate and drank enough and chatted for a while, the party ended. The guys wanted to invite me out for a massage or something, but they saw Zhang Yan and Qing Xuantong next to me and dropped the idea. I had drunk quite a bit. My tolerance is actually pretty good, but the classmates were too enthusiastic and I was in a good mood, so I had more than usual. By the time we left the hotel, my face was already flushed. Zhang Yan and Qing Xuantong supported me on both sides as we walked out. The others looked pretty envious. I waved at everyone and told them to go on ahead. They said goodbye and left. Zhang Yan asked where we should go next. I was pretty drunk and just said home. She didn't know how to drive, so Lu Xing suggested calling a designated driver. I agreed and told them to drop Qing Xuantong off first. She said that was fine. The driver came quickly. I fell asleep in the car. When I half opened my eyes later, I had sobered up a bit. Zhang Yan had turned so my head could rest on her lap. I took a breath and caught her scent. I tried to sit up straight. My face felt hot. Zhang Yan noticed and turned to look out the window without saying anything. The mood in the car got a little awkward. My stomach suddenly felt bad, so I thumped my chest. Zhang Yan patted my back and asked if I was uncomfortable, saying I could throw up if I needed to feel better. I told her I was fine. Then I mumbled that I couldn't throw up because it was a new car. She laughed at that. She pulled me over and let my head rest on her shoulder instead. I nodded and closed my eyes again. A little later, I heard her phone click as she took a picture. When we finally arrived, the driver said we were there and reminded us to give a good review. Zhang Yan looked at me resting on her shoulder and didn't wake me up right away. She just sat there, hugged me, and let time pass for a while. A beam of light hit us. Someone called my name. Zhang Yan opened her eyes and saw my mom standing there with a flashlight. She got nervous and said, "Auntie?" My mom had heard noise outside and came out to check. She saw me sleeping with my head on Zhangyan's shoulder and smiled. She asked if Zhangyan was the girl who had been in my car earlier that day. Zhangyan said she was my friend and introduced herself. My mom asked what was going on. Zhangyan explained that I had gone to a class reunion and gotten drunk, so she brought me back. My mom patted me and scolded me for drinking too much, but she was smiling the whole time. She thanked Zhangyan for taking care of me and said I usually don't drink that much. Then she went inside to get my dad. My dad came out. Thanks to the medicine I gave him, he looked much healthier than before. He smiled when he saw Zhangyan and helped carry me into the house. My mom took Zhangyan's hand and started talking with her in the living room. She asked if we were classmates. Zhangyan said we were friends. My mom asked her age, her name, and chatted with her for about an hour. She kept calling her Xiaoyan and seemed really happy with her. Later, my mom noticed it was already 1 in the morning. She said it was too late for a girl to go home alone and invited Zhangyan to stay the night. Zhangyan felt it might not be appropriate, but my mom insisted. She said we didn't have a spare room because the other one was just storage, so Zhangyan could sleep on the top bunk of my wooden bunk bed, and I would be on the bottom. My mom pushed Zhangyan into my room with a towel and closed the door. I was still passed out on the bed at that point, still wearing my clothes. I woke up the next morning with a heavy head from all the drinking the night before. When I pulled the blanket off, I realized there was a girl lying right on top of me. It was Zhangyan. She was still asleep, looking comfortable. I froze. My heart started beating fast and my face felt hot. I didn't know what to do. It was a normal morning thing for a guy, but with her right there like that, it felt wrong. If I moved, she'd wake up and things would get awkward. That would be social suicide. So I just stayed still and gently pulled the quilt back over us, hoping to wait it out. Then Zhangyan shifted a bit. I held my breath and didn't move. Right at that moment, the door opened and my mom walked in. Xiaoyan, Xiaoyan, it's late. Come eat. She saw us. Our eyes met. Before I could say anything, Zhangyan mumbled in her sleep. Xiaoyan, don't move. My mom's eyes went wide. She gave me a thumbs up, quietly stepped back out, and closed the door. I just lay there thinking, what the hell just happened? I had blacked out completely after the party ended the night before. I didn't remember anything after that. A phone started ringing in my pocket. Zhangyan woke up too, and our eyes met. I told her softly, you're pressing on my arm. She moved back a little so I could pull my arm free. I answered the phone without thinking. It was Lu Xing. He sounded urgent. Old Xiao, something's happened. Li Kang jumped off a building. I sat up fast. What? My head bumped into Zhangyan. She pulled back and let go of me. Lu Xing explained that Li Kang's confession to Qing Xuantong failed yesterday. He had taken out big campus loans to pay for the whole gathering, couldn't repay them, and jumped this morning. He wasn't hurt badly, though. It wasn't a high floor. I felt relieved. We'd been classmates for 3 years. A life is a life. But then Lu Xing said Li Kang's parents and relatives were causing a big scene. Some were at the restaurant making trouble for Qing Xuantong's family. Others were at the hotel complaining about the high prices, saying that's why Li Kang had to borrow money. I told him I'd go handle the restaurant side. Zhangyan heard everything and got off me right away. We both got up quickly. My mom saw us come out and smiled knowingly. You must be hungry. Eat first. I shook my head. Mom, there's an emergency. I'm heading out now. She told me to go quickly. I splashed water on my face, didn't even change clothes, and left. Zhangyan followed me. Why are you coming? I asked. She didn't answer, so I just drove to the restaurant. We didn't talk in the car. We both avoided mentioning what happened that morning. At least our clothes were normal, so nothing actually happened. When we got there, Li Kang's mom was holding a megaphone outside the restaurant, shouting that Qing Xuantong should give her son's life back, that she humiliated him by rejecting him and demanding she come out. A crowd had gathered, neighbors were gossiping, saying Qing Xuantong must have said something too harsh. Li Kang's relatives had surrounded Boss Qing at the door. Our classmates who were there were just standing around watching, not sure what to do. When Zhangyan and I got out of the car, people noticed and made a path for us. I nodded to my classmates. After what happened yesterday, they seemed to look at me as the one who could handle things. A female classmate came up and said, I don't know what Li Kang's family is thinking, causing trouble like this. Xiaoyang, can you think of something? I told her, let's see how Uncle Qing handles it first. Boss Qing looked panicked. He shouted at them, don't go too far. What does your son jumping have to do with my daughter? Stop making a scene. Then the restaurant door opened. Qing Xuantong came out crying, looking really upset. Boss Qing told her to go back inside, but she stepped forward and said to Mother Li, Auntie Li, I'm sorry about what happened to Li Kang, but this has nothing to do with me. Mother Li got angry and tried to rush at her, saying if Qing Xuantong hadn't rejected him, he wouldn't have jumped. Boss Qing blocked her and asked what exactly they wanted. Mother Li said Qing Xuantong had to apologize publicly to her son in front of the media and everyone. She even took out her phone to record. Boss Qing refused. He said no. Things got heated. Mother Li tried to push past him to grab Qing Xuantong. I stepped in front and shielded her. Mother Li cursed at me, asking who I was. I told her it didn't matter who I was. This had nothing to do with Qing Xuantong or our class, and if they kept causing trouble, I'd call the police. She laughed and said, "Go ahead. Let the police lock up that little slut." I slapped her and said, "Calling her a little slut every other word? Auntie, if that's how you want to talk, then we have nothing to discuss." She was shocked. Then she yelled at her relatives to beat me up. They surrounded me. I looked at Mother Lee and asked if she really didn't know why Li Kang jumped. I told her it wasn't because of the rejection. It was the loan sharks. The crowd started whispering. People understood how dangerous those campus loans were. Mother Lee tried to say something bad about Qing Xuantong again. I stared at her and she stopped. I listed out her logic. If her son borrowed money to confess, why blame others? If he jumped, blame the building. If he hit the curb, blame the road. Why not blame herself for not raising him better or not giving him enough allowance? She was just being unreasonable. She got mad and shouted, "What does this have to do with me?" I pulled Qing Xuantong closer and said, "I'm her boyfriend. Of course it has something to do with me." Mother Lee got even angrier. She said I must have been the reason Qing Xuantong rejected her son yesterday. I told her yes, I was there, but her son confessed to my girlfriend right in front of me. What kind of behavior is that? She kept trying to grab Qing Xuantong. I slapped her again, harder this time. She almost fell. She started crying and rolling on the ground, shouting for people to call the police and saying we harmed her son, and now I hit her. I told her to call the police then, so we don't waste time. Her relatives rushed at us. A few big guys came forward. One punched me in the body. It hurt. Qing Xuantong screamed and tried to shield me, but I pushed her back inside the building. My classmates saw what was happening and ran over to surround me and protect me. Both sides stood there facing each other. I rubbed my arm and said, "This is a society ruled by law. I don't want unnecessary conflict." Mother Lee said we were bullying them just because we're students. I shook my head and told her they were the ones who started it. They should go after the loan sharks who drove Li Kang to jump, not us. Mother Lee suddenly broke down crying. She said they tried to find the loan sharks, but the company had disappeared. Li Kang was in the hospital and might never walk again if they couldn't pay for surgery. She blamed herself for not raising him properly. Just then, we heard police sirens coming. I nodded when the police car arrived. A plainclothes officer walked into the crowd and told everyone to calm down. He said we were all adults and should talk things out instead of fighting. I felt relieved. The Lee family members stepped back. The officer asked what was going on. I explained the whole situation from start to finish. Mother Lee added a few words too. The officer looked at Mother Lee and said she really couldn't blame us. Causing a scene wouldn't help, and we had no responsibility in this. It came down to how they raised their son. Mother Lee lowered her head and sighed. She knew deep down it wasn't our fault, but she was desperate because Li Kang needed surgery or he might never walk again. After a while, I said the real problem was the loan companies, and the police should handle that. The officer agreed and told Mother Lee to come to the station later to give a statement. She started crying again and said they already reported it, but they couldn't wait. Then she told us the surgery would cost $300,000. I thought about it and said, "I can lend you $100,000 first, but I have conditions. You stop causing trouble here and at the hotel, and you have to apologize to my girlfriend for how you acted." Mother Lee immediately knelt down and begged me, even kowtowed until her forehead bled. She said she knew I had money and asked me to help. I told her I'd lend the $100,000, but she had to apologize properly to Qing Xuantong first. No more trouble, and she had to write an IOU. Qing Xuantong pulled my sleeve and whispered that $100,000 was a lot, and I might not get it back. I told her I knew, but Li Kang was still our classmate. I also explained that plenty of guys had confessed to Qing Xuantong and got rejected, but none of them jumped. Several other boys from class spoke up too, saying the same thing. Mother Lee finally lowered her head and apologized to Qing Xuantong. She also apologized to Boss Qing. After that, she wrote the IOU. I transferred $100,000 to her right away. She called her relatives to leave the hotel, thanked me, and left quickly to deal with the rest of the money. The neighbors went home. Boss Qing invited all of us inside the restaurant to eat. Qing Xuantong held onto my arm tightly the whole time and said, "Xiaoyang, thank you so much for today. I didn't know what to do without you." I told Boss Qing it was nothing and not to worry about the money. He offered to pay me back the full $300,000, but I said no, especially since his wife was still in the hospital. Boss Qing went to the kitchen to cook. Qing Xuantong kept holding my arm and wouldn't let go. Zhang Yan stood there with her arms crossed and said to her, "Have you hugged him enough? It's time to let go." Qing Xuantong didn't listen. She looked at me and whispered, "Xiaoyang, how about you really become my boyfriend? Let's stop pretending." Right then, I heard a ding in my head. A system message appeared. Task, Qing Xuantong's confession. Option 1, accept, reward 1 million yuan. Option 2, reject, reward 5 million yuan. I heard the system ding and saw the new task. Qing Xuantong's confession. Accept for 1 million, reject for 5 million. My face went dark for a second. I thought the school beauty was worth more than that, but the numbers stayed the same, no matter what. Before I could decide, Jiang Yan stepped between us. No way. Xiaoyang can't be your boyfriend. He's mine. Qing Xuantong told her to get lost and said they only met yesterday, so first come, first served didn't apply here. Jiang Yan said there was no such thing in this situation anyway, and that she had already slept with me. They started arguing. Their voices stayed low, but people noticed. Everyone else tactfully moved to other tables. Qing Xuantong brought up that I had called her my girlfriend in front of everyone earlier. Jiang Yan got mad. I sighed and told Qing Xuantong that I only said that because of the situation at the time. She had asked me to pretend yesterday, and with all the classmates around, I had to keep up the act. Jiang Yan looked happy when she heard that and hooked her arm through mine. Qing Xuantong didn't back down. She grabbed my other arm and called Jiang Yan a stalker. Jiang Yan got angry and called her shameless. They kept going back and forth, insulting each other. Jiang Yan leaned in and whispered that she had slept with me last night. Qing Xuantong looked shocked and asked me directly if it was true. I told them both we didn't do anything. I was drunk and didn't remember anything. Qing Xuantong understood right away and accused Jiang Yan of taking advantage of me while I was drunk. Jiang Yan puffed out her chest and said even if I blacked out, we still slept together. They started arguing again. Qing Xuantong said when a guy is unconscious, nothing can happen. Jiang Yan kept insisting anyway. I felt helpless watching them go at it. At least the 5 million had just appeared in my account. That felt good. Meanwhile, somewhere else in an office building, Jiang Yan's father got a report that the trouble at the hotel had ended. His secretary told him it seemed connected to his daughter. They showed him the surveillance from last night. He saw the scene with me and got angry. He asked who I was and ordered them to find out everything about me within an hour.